In this episode, it's the last of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate characters. Let's dive back into the Geek Fiction Multiverse. Hi everyone, John here. It's the return of the Geek Fiction Multiverse. Here, we play 6 degrees of separation with your favorite characters from all over those geeky fictional universes. And speaking of 6, this is the 6th episode. Of course, I have to do an episode now that Sora has been revealed as the last character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The protagonist of Kingdom Hearts has always been a popular character, and, as it turns out, was actually the most requested character when they did the poll for Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U back in 2015. And now, he's finally here. So big congratulations to everyone who wanted him, and thanks to everyone at Nintendo, Square, Bandai Namco, and the fittingly named Sora Limited for making it happen. Also, a huge thanks to Sakurai for all his work on the Super Smash Bros. Series. If this truly is it for him, he sure ended on a good note. While I'm sure Nintendo will continue the series in some way for the next console, this is the final addition to Ultimate. While I'm certainly not that good of a Super Smash Bros. Player, I still really like the series for being the biggest video game crossover of all time, and so it's always been quite interesting to hear and partake in all the speculation of who could be added next. Though there are no more characters to be added to this game, we can still look at how they are connected in this episode of the Geek Fiction Multiverse. Previously, we looked at how the guest characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are connected to Mario in as few degrees as possible, without using any version of Super Smash Bros. As one of the steps. Then, we did the same with the Fighters Pass Volume 1 characters. Now that we know the full roster of the second volume, we can revisit the Geek Fiction Multiverse, and again, try to connect all of these characters to Nintendo's main man, Mario. This doesn't work. Okay. And again, try to connect all of these characters to Nintendo's main man, Mario.
It's a me, a Mario. That's not the voice.
Min Min. Not possible? Unfortunately, this first combatant of Volume 2 does not seem to be possible to link up to Mario without Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Since ARMS is a relatively new Nintendo game from 2017, and not even a series as of now, it hasn't yet had the opportunity to cross over with anything, and I haven't seen references of it anywhere, not even in the most recent WarioWare game. So, as of now, Min Min is just not connected to anyone other than through Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It is interesting that they chose Min Min to represent ARMS instead of Springman though. While Springman is most certainly not the same character as Springman from Mega Man 7, at least this Springman can be connected to Mario, so let's do it for the fun of it. Springman is one of the robot masters that face Mega Man in Mega Man 7. As stated in the guest characters video I did earlier, Mega Man has fought against and alongside Sonic in some Archie Comics crossovers, such as Worlds Collide. And Worlds did collide when Sonic and Mario competed in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, released in 2007 for the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing, and they competed again and again for most of the Olympic Games since. Interesting as that is, that doesn't help Min Min or any of the ARMS characters get close to Mario, so we'll chalk that down as their first and hopefully only fail. But now that that's out of the way, let's move on. Steve, Alex, Zombie, and Enderman. 6 or 7 degrees. If skins count, then this is very easy, as there are Mario skins in Minecraft Super Mario Edition. However, if you don't want to count a Mario skin as Mario himself, we can go a longer way, and it's still within 6 degrees of separation, at least for Steve. Retro City Rampage features Minecraft Steve as a guest character, alongside the main character, simply named Player. Player is a guest character in Mutant Mud Super Challenge, which features many other indie characters crossing over, including Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight faces the guest boss Kratos, originally from God of War, in the PlayStation versions of Shovel Knight. Kratos is also a guest character in Soul Calibur Broken Destiny, where he fights Soul Calibur characters such as Nightmare. Nightmare faces The Legend of Zelda's Link in the GameCube version of Soul Calibur 2. And Link, well, some version of him, appears alongside Mario in Tetris for the NES. These 6 steps are applicable to Steve. For Alex, Zombie, and Enderman, you just have to add Minecraft as the first degree to connect them to Steve for 7 degrees to Mario. Sephiroth and Sora, 3 degrees. I originally thought, since I'd covered Cloud before, that I would just substitute Cloud with Sephiroth. This works for 4 degrees, as seen on screen here. However, and coincidentally a few days before the Sora reveal, I realized a quicker way that's only 3 degrees, and not only can it also apply to Cloud, but to Sora as well, which is actually now even more obvious. Sephiroth, Cloud, and of course, Sora are all in the Square and Disney crossover, Kingdom Hearts, which also features some Disney princesses, including Cinderella. Cinderella and many of the Disney princesses are in the Wreck-It Ralph sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which, like the first film, also features many game characters, mostly arcade icons, but also Sonic the Hedgehog. As mentioned, Sonic and Mario are both in various Olympic Games.
I got an invitation to join Smash!
Pyra and Mythra. 3 degrees, if items are allowed. Similar to Min Min from ARMS, Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 are recent and Switch exclusive characters who haven't yet appeared anywhere else. While they do meet characters from the original Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X, these connections don't get us any closer to Mario aside from through Super Smash Bros. The only way I can think of involves items and not people. Pyra and Mythra assist the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is Rex, who wears distinct salvager gear. Rex's salvager headwear, vest, and trousers are in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's DLC quest titled Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Is that an acceptable link to Link? As mentioned, Link hangs out with Mario on a screen in Nintendo's own NES version of Tetris. So that's 3 degrees, if we're okay with the fact that we have to include an outfit instead of a character. Kazuya, 2 degrees. Kazuya is straightforward and quick with only 2 degrees. Kazuya can battle against Pac-Man in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Pac-Man and Mario race each other in Mario Kart Arcade GP. So, that's Fighters Pass Volume 2 of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Along with analyzing the non-Nintendo characters in a previous video, as well as Fighters Pass Volume 1 previously, we've really shown how Mario is the center of the video game universe. Sure, Min Min and the rest of the ARMS crew aren't connected to him without Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but omitting the Super Smash Bros. Games is only to make this more challenging and to demonstrate that this was already a quite connected multiverse. Speaking of challenges, I have been known to make an error occasionally. Here's one that was pointed out to me. Solid Snake. Now, 3 degrees. Curbman asked, on the video about guest characters in Super Smash Bros. To Mario, didn't Snake also appear in DreamX TV World Fighters? Indeed, you're right, and I even mentioned DreamX TV World Fighters when talking about Simon Belmont just before discussing Solid Snake, so I was clearly already familiar with this game. How silly of me, especially since his being in DreamX TV World Fighters is key to when I first connected Star Trek to Star Wars and leading to me launching the Geek Fiction Multiverse series to begin with. Anyway, shortening 4 degrees to 3, it should now be Solid Snake and Bomberman exchange explosives in DreamX TV World Fighters on the GameCube and PS2. Bomberman and Wario also have a blast in Wario Blast featuring Bomberman on the Game Boy. And Wario was introduced as a rival of Mario in Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, also on the Game Boy. Note that DreamX TV World Fighters is exclusive to Japan, but that Wario Blast featuring Bomberman did not come out in Japan, unless you count it as the original Bomberman GB. But that doesn't have Wario, which is kind of the point. So Snake has to get international, as there's not one single region where he can connect all the way to Mario in this fashion. Remember, I don't just connect characters to only Mario, even if this is the 4th time out of 6 episodes that I've done so. Here's a request I got earlier. Tom Nook to Doomslayer, 3 degrees. On the video about the first Fighters Pass, Lucas requested Tom Nook to Doomslayer. JFox87 also requested Animal Crossing to Doom, which is pretty much the same thing. This will take a few paths with some explanations, so we'll just do this one request for this video. When I originally wrote the script and recorded this video ahead of the October 5th reveal, I wondered if I was spending too much time on this Doomslayer request. Now that his outfit has been revealed to be a Mii Fighter costume to be released on the same day as Sora, this actually seems super appropriate and timely to include after all. Now, all those memes with Animal Crossing's Isabelle and Doom's Doom Guy as best friends came about when both Animal Crossing New Horizons and Doom Eternal came out on the same day in 2020. But these don't count as official, as those are all just fan creations. So if we want to stick with official routes, there are a few different ways, depending on your criteria of what is an acceptable link. You can actually do it as quickly as 3 degrees if we open it up to allow Super Smash Bros. Tom Nook is in Smashville in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and so is Pac-Man, whose attacks include the Pac-Man Ghosts. The Pac-Man Ghosts appear in a hidden Pac-Man style floor in the classic PC first-person shooter, Wolfenstein 3D, along with Nazis like the SS. The Wolfenstein brand of these Nazi SS are in a hidden level in Doom 2 called Wolfenstein, where the Doom Guy can mow them down. But are the Pac-Man Ghosts in Wolfenstein 3D considered official versions of Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde, and allowed by Namco? They might not be, or at least not anymore, since the ghosts were removed from the PS3 and Xbox 360 re-releases and replaced with fake Hitlers. There might still be a hidden Blinky in episode 6. Or perhaps without Namco's blessing, it's just a nameless red ghost. But still, let's find another way. Avoiding the Wolfenstein path, we can still do it in 3 degrees. Tom Nook is in Smashville and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which as we know has characters from all over, including Steve from Minecraft. Steve does a cameo in Choplifter HD and Duke Nukem cameos as well. In Duke Nukem 3D, Duke can come across a cameo of a doomed space marine. Though we don't have ghosts in this path, we have a corpse, as if there's always got to be something dead. Now, given the satire in Duke Nukem, this might just be a mere parody reference than something even the slightest bit canonical. But it's definitely still interesting that we can get this close from only a few steps from Tom Nook. If we don't want to use Super Smash Bros., it is still possible if we are okay with using a unique item instead of a character, and doing it in 8 steps. Tom Nook debuted in Dobutsu no Mori, or Animal Forest, on the N64 in Japan, the true first game in the Animal Crossing series. Even back then, they had the Master Sword as a furniture item. The Master Sword is wielded by Link in many games, including Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube, against opponents like Nightmare. Nightmare can clash with God of War's Kratos in Soul Calibur Broken Destiny. Kratos has a guest appearance in the PlayStation versions of Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is one of the indie characters that are playable in Mutant Mud's Super Challenge, as is Retro City Rampage's Player. Retro City Rampage also features Steve from Minecraft. As before, Steve can be found in Choplifter HD, and Duke Nukem is here too. And in Duke Nukem 3D, Duke finds the doomed space marine. After I'd figured this all out, when I was capturing the comments for this video, I only just noticed that Marshtomp8 had already replied to JFox87's requests. For whatever reason, I wasn't seeing all the YouTube comments and had missed this until now. I really like Marshtomp8's answer for how to connect Animal Crossing to Doom, which, though longer, doesn't end with a dead Doom guy. I reversed it to end at Doom guy and tweaked the Star Wars part slightly, and so here it is. Tom Nook is an Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS. And this next point I didn't know or else forgot about, which is shameful as I consider myself a Zelda fan, not to mention an Animal Crossing fan and Amiibo fan, but Epona the horse is a character here too, available after the Welcome Amiibo update. Epona, as every Zelda fan knows, is Link's trusty steed in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. As we know from earlier, Link fights armed combatants like Nightmare in the GameCube version of Soul Calibur 2. The Soul Calibur characters go up against Star Wars characters, such as Darth Vader and or Yoda in Soul Calibur 4, depending on the version. Star Wars Episode 1 introduces us to Anakin Skywalker, who will become Darth Vader. If you don't like that, there's still Yoda. The antagonist here is Darth Maul. Darth Maul goes skateboarding, as does Doom Guy in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, specifically in the PC version. And so, that's another episode of the Geek Fiction Multiverse, covering the second round of DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Are you happy with the final roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Are there characters that you would still like to see if Super Smash Bros. Hasn't truly reached its ultimate form? Ultimate may be done, but Nintendo would be silly to not let Super Smash Bros. Keep going, right? Let's discuss in the comments. Also, today we handled a pretty beefy request. Are there any other crossover connections that you wonder might be possible and would like to see explained here on this channel? Comment below, and I'll look at them in a future episode. And to ensure there are more episodes, consider liking and subscribing. Every indication that you like this content really helps. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep geeking out. See ya.